Hi, good day everyone. My name is Jimry B. Kuntuman and we are Group 2. And our report is all about what constitutes about sex. Or what constitutes sex, basically. In our report, we have three key factors. Namely, the first is the primary characteristics or the reproductive organs. And the second is the secondary characteristics. We have here the height, bone structures, and etc. And lastly, the reproductive responsibilities. Okay, so let's start. By this part, let me just identify what's the difference between sex and gender, because most of the time, or most of the people usually interchange these two. They don't know what to use, either sex or gender. So let me just identify this first, so we don't get any confusions at this topic. Okay, defining sex. Sex refers to the physical and biological aspects of an individual, which makes some biological male or female, such as chromosomes, hormones, and reproductive anatomy. Okay, from its definition itself, it refers to the physical and biological aspect. For example, you are born with some penis, so basically you're a male. And if you're born with a vagina, then basically you're a female. And sometimes it is based with hormones and reproductive anatomy, just like what I mentioned, the penis, the vagina. Okay? And on the other side, the gender refers to the social constructed roles, expectations, and behaviors that are often ascribed to the different sex. Gender identity is a personal, internal perception of oneself is based on socially constructed roles, behavior, and customs. From the definition itself, it is basically like you are born as male, however, your feelings or your doings is all about females, or basically all the things your habits is all about females. However, you are born as a male, your sex is a male, however your social customs and behavior is all about female. That's why they call you as gays, for example. But that's not a sex, that's a gender. Okay, so that's the difference between sex and gender. Okay, moving to the next part, or the first characteristic or the factors in our reports will be reported with my groupmates.
Next is we are going to be talking about the primary characteristics of biological sex, which are mainly based on reproductive organs of male and females. For males, the primary sex characteristics include the testes and testicles, which are internal organs responsible for producing sperm and the hormone testosterone. Next is the penis, which is the external reproductive organ and is used for urination and sexual reproduction. And for the females, the primary sex characteristics include the ovaries, which are internal organs that produce egg cells and the hormone estrogen. Next is the uterus, where a fertilized egg can grow during pregnancy. And lastly, the vulva, which is the external part of the female reproductive system. These reproductive organs are present from birth and develop further during puberty, playing a key role in biological differences between male and female bodies.
So, good day everyone. I am Glenn Malaysian, and I'll be discussing about secondary characteristics. So, secondary characteristics are physical traits that emerge during puberty, distinguishing the biological sexes of humans and other animals but are not directly involved in reproduction. These characteristics are different from primary sexual characteristics, which pertain directly to the reproductive organs. So what is secondary sexual characteristics? Secondary sexual characteristics are traits that develop during puberty under the influence of sex hormones. Examples are testosterone in males, estrogen, and progesterone in females. These features support sexual differentiation but are not required for reproduction. So, sex-specific characteristics in females. So first is breast development. estrogen causes the development of breast tissue, leading to enlargement of the breast. Second is the wider hips. The pelvis widens to accommodate childbirth. Third is menstrual cycle. The onset of menstruation marks the beginning of reproductive capability. Fourth is lack of body hair. Females typically have less body hair than males. Fifth is the thicker hair on head. Hair growth on the head tends to be thicker and longer in females. Sixth is higher voice tone. Females typically have a higher pitched voice than males. Then, so purpose and function. First is to serve as visual indicators of sexual maturity. Second is play a role in sexual attractions and mate selection. Third is often influence social identity and self-perception.
So here are the second characteristics of male. So the first one would be the height increase. So in male, during significant growth, spurred to the surge in growth hormone and testosterone. So the long bones, often resulting in a final adult height greater than that of females. The second is the structure. So male bones become larger, denser, and more robust. So the pelvis remains narrower and more upright compared to females, contributing to a more angular body shape. The jaw and the brow ridge become more face a more squared appearance. So third is the facial hair growth. So testosterone stimulates the hair follicles on the face, leading to a development of a mustache, beard, and sideburns. So growth patterns vary, but facial hair typically thickens and darkens over time. The fourth is the deepening of the voice. The larynx enlarges and the vocal cords lengthen, resulting in a lower pitch, deeper voice. The Adam's apple also becomes more prominent. Fifth is the body and fat distribution. The fat distribution shifts from hips to thighs to the abdomen and upper body. Males generally have less subcutaneous fat but may store more visceral fat. Sixth is the muscle mass and strength. So testosterone enhances muscle protein synthesis, leading to a greater muscle mass, particularly the chest, shoulders, arms, and legs. Males typically gain more strength and muscle definition than females. The last one is the skin texture and pigmentation. So male skin becomes thicker and oilier due to the increased sebaceous gland activity, which can lead to acne during puberty. Pigmentation may darken slightly, especially beard. So these traits help define adult male physical characteristics and are triggered primarily by hormonal changes during adolescence.
Okay, at this juncture, we will talk about the reproductive responsibilities, or the third key factor of what constitutes sex. Okay, what is reproductive responsibilities? So basically, it is referred to the activities needed to ensure the reproduction of society's labor force. This includes the childbearing, rearing, and care for the family member, such as children and elderly. As a female, for example, what is your responsibilities here in societies? So basically, you have the responsibility to bear a child. But however, you cannot create a child without a man. That's why men also have responsibilities in society to aid the women to bear a child. And this male is also have the responsibilities to sustain or to gain some resources in order to provide his family to grow. And the female do have responsibilities to aid, do have responsibilities to nurture, to guide, and to care of the families in the household.